So what I want to talk about right now is how to take off emblems. There's lots of different kinds of emblems on vehicles. Most emblems are held on with double-sided tape. Some are held on by clips. And again, in the following footage that you're going to see a wide variety of emblems and how to understand it. And again, is understanding how each one works. All right, and you'll learn and get the feel for how each one is put on. This one, I have a feeling this has pegs behind it. This one is double-sided tape. The first thing you want to do when you take off emblems is take a measurement or a picture. All right, stand back with your camera, take a picture so you know exactly where they go. Maybe take measurements. Another good tip is, what I do sometimes is I take a piece of paper and I take a wax pencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a precise measurement and placement of the emblem, and also kind of mark it on the vehicle. So I know that it kind of fits right here, and I hold it here and I come back over and I do the same for the, let's say the Ford if I take it off. Because you want to mark it here. So I have a very clear idea of where it goes back on the vehicle, and if I mark it on a spot here, so when I take this off, I know that it's just placement. So when I take the emblems off, I'm going to put it back here, and then line it up to here, and then everything will fit. All right, so this is a really good key. And then what I do is I'll label it. Let's say here I'll do, Ford cargo, and then I'll put this away and file it away. And then when I go to put the emblems back on, it just slaps back on. All right, so this is a good way. This is especially good for emblems where the letters are separated, all right? Because those are notoriously hard to get straight and even and symmetrical back on. But if you do it with a wax pencil, you can really see it clearly, put the emblems back on and put the masking tape over top, and then just slam it back on. When you do take the emblems off, obviously the biggest thing is you don't want to break them, all right? So definitely take a lot of time and use the right tools. And I'm going to show you a couple different tools how to do it using string, plastic removal tools, or old squeegees, all right? But you want to be really careful because all of these are plastic, okay? And also one thing to keep in mind for emblems is there's a lot of dirt behind here, all right? So especially on the more high-end cars, if you go to take this off and there's a lot of dirt behind, that dirt can come out, and as you're pushing it can scratch the car, all right? So definitely want to go really slow here and never take these off too fast because you can either break it or scratch the car. But definitely you want to learn how to take them off, and as you see in the following video, if you use the right technique, they come off pretty easy.
So first up are emblems that are separated. In this case, these are the Peugeot. You're taking these emblems off. You can use a plastic removal tool, and you simply want to get it under one side and kind of jimmy it off. And this is kind of old adhesive, and this is a good example where if you have old double-sided tape adhesive under there, generally the emblems come off pretty easy. This is a newer car so you want to rock the plastic removal tool from a thicker part of the letter, in this case, towards sections where it's open. If you start at the open sections, that may tend to break the emblem. So you always want to start towards the thicker part of the A here, and then work towards the sections that are open, and that'll keep it from breaking. Great tool for removing emblems is a wide plastic removal tool, and the plastic removal tool usually comes in a set of 5. The wide one is great. It's usually a nice hard plastic. It's better than a squeegee. It has a kind of a thin front, so it really slides under the emblem nice and easy. And see how the free hand here is really critical for keeping hold of the emblem, so once it becomes loose, it doesn't jump off the section where it's at and scratch the car. So use your free hand to hold the emblem in place, nice and easy. Now we get to emblems that are connected. All right, in some way these are easier because for reinstall it makes it much easier than separated emblems. But in this case, you want to use this is using an old squeegee and a heat gun. And you don't need a heat gun all the time, but sometimes it's nice to have. But again, what's the biggest thing with connected emblems is the connecting point between the letters generally is really fragile. So you really want to go slow here and work very methodically. So here with a Prius, just generally work super slow. And the Audi emblem is notoriously difficult, so you're working bottom to the top till it comes off nice and easy. And this is a brand new car. And with brand new cars, the double-sided tape comes off easy once the emblem's off, but it can be a little gooey. And so with connected emblems, you want to be careful because once you think it's clear, the double-sided tape behind might still be sticking and might snap the connected emblem. So you want to really take your time here and make sure for sure it's away from the vehicle before you pull it off, like the double-sided tape is clear. So again, the emblem's technically off right now, but again, slowly pull it off, and if it feels a little gooey behind, like at the top of the T here, I can see that the double-sided tape is a little connected still, so if I pull too quick, it's going to snap. And if it does snap, you just go to the local dealership and you can get a new one, but definitely want to avoid that. So again, taking the time here, and see how it's stretching a little bit, but once it's off, look how easy the adhesive comes off. Super cool. Some emblems are held on by clips, alright? And the easiest way to get this started is you want to take your hook tool that you usually use for tucking the material behind the rubber, open up a section underneath, and then use your plastic removal tool to start prying it open. And the trick is you want to pry evenly on all sides of the clip. If you start on one side and just pull straight out, it'll break the emblem. So again, be methodical here and work evenly top to bottom or around the emblem. And then it usually just clips right back on. So instead of using a plastic removal tool or an old squeegee, you can use, there's tools today you can buy that have two handles, and then what you do is you secure a string in between them. And this string can be either, you know, heavy gauge fishing line, or some of these comes with like 100 strings that you can put behind, like a heavy duty nylon and stuff like that. And what you do is you simply just start it on one side of the emblem, and then you just kind of work it up and down, and the string will just cut the double-sided tape from behind the emblem. And it works really good. My only problem with this is it generally uses 100% of the adhesive on the vehicle, but you know, if you have a good adhesive remover, or if it's a brand new car, it usually comes off pretty easy. And it's a cool tool. It's a nice tool to have. For reapplying the emblems, there's the first trick of reapplying the emblems is to take off the old adhesive. Alright, and you generally, as soon as the emblem comes off the vehicle, don't put it down and do this later, because once the adhesive dries on the emblem, it makes it even more difficult to come off. So especially if it's a new car, it should come off that easy. Otherwise, use adhesive remover to soften it and take it off. And then to take the adhesive off the vehicle, you want to use a really good adhesive remover, let it soften it up, and then just use a proper scraper, and there's different ones out there, to remove the adhesive. Alright, and once that's off, you can even use a scratchless sponge in this case to make it even flatter. But you know, always check the vehicle. If water-based paints are generally scratch easier than oil-based paints, so just always make sure you're not scratching the car when you do that. To reapply the emblems, you have two different options. This is outdoor double-sided tape. So what you have to do is you have to, you know, obviously you want to make sure that the entire emblem sticks on top and bottom, left to right. So you want to make sure you evenly distribute the double-sided tape, and then once you got it on, you have to remove the backing. And this can be a kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you, but once you do that, you can put it back on, and you know you had your measurements for before, put it in place, and it's on. A new tool, a new adhesive that I've discovered recently, totally cuts this process down by, like, I would say 90%. Great tool. So that what this is you remove the backing here, and this is just open adhesive, soft adhesive. And what you can do now is you can take your emblem, whether it's connected or separate or solid even, and what you do is you place the emblem directly on this adhesive. And you just sit it on there, and however much you have, you just put it on. And just be wary that this is pretty gooey stuff, so you don't want to get it on the car or on yourself. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. But you put the emblems there, and then all you do is you simply pry the emblem off, and then you just put it on, and it fits exactly to the contour of the emblem. So no more cutting or cutting things into little pieces and stuff like that and removing the backing. You simply just pull it off the adhesive and put it on, and I'm telling you, this makes me very happy. So very cool tool, just picked it up recently. And again, what I'm using here is I'm using the, you know, sometimes on emblems, it's really nice is if it's in a sunny area, you can use the shadow from the sun that created on the fading on the car. In this case, you got pegs on the back of the emblem, and you just simply slide the peg into place with a double-sided tape, and there you go. And now the wrap up. always, before taking off the emblems, take measurements or pictures, or use that wax pencil and the paper. Always pry evenly, don't get eager. Eager beaver is going to break the emblem. Always use the right adhesive remover to take any adhesive off. Super critical. If you have a really not so good adhesive remover, it's going to take you much longer than if you have a good one. Always watch out for the adhesive remover will drip onto the bumper or wherever you're removing, so you watch out for that when you go to put the graphics back on. Make sure you clean really good after you've used an adhesive remover. If you do break the emblem, don't freak out. You can always go right to the dealership and they have those in stock. They can be a little spendy sometimes, but they do have them, so it's not the end of the world if you do break them. Just try not to. And then, for solid emblems, I didn't show these because for me, I like to work around solid emblems. I don't like to take off solid emblems. I think it's easier to work around them than to remove them. If you do want to remove them, go for it. But for me, if you go to the section where it's for working around raised objects, I do have lots of videos of how to work around solid emblems nice and clean and tight. So for me, I would say don't remove solid emblems, work around them, and if you want to know how, just go to that section. So thanks for watching. I'm Justin Pate.